LCS, you know, formerly, LTA pros now, but he was talking about it back when it was the LCS, how some of these pros were better at things like, you know, maybe playing the map or playing weak side or some of these kind of things that you more associate with competitive, but that he was extremely confident that he was basically better than all of them in the laning phase, right? And then split one, he had to actually do all these lane swaps and stuff. So you kind of have the cope of like, well, it's lane swaps. He's not supposed to be good at that. He's a rookie. He's not supposed to be doing as well. Even with that, he had some good moments. Coming to Split 2, I think the hype was really high because they're saying, all right, now it's all 1v1s. It's Srtty's
no
time
more
to
lane
shine.
swaps. They're done.
And he's kind of getting his butt beat. He is getting smacked down.
Yeah. So eyes will be on Srtty going into this one. We want to highlight that matchup in the top lane especially, but I also want to catch up on what's going on here in draft so far. There have been a lot of top lane bans between both of these teams, more so towards Thanatos. So let's see what he grabs as C9 lock in Vi to kick things off. And then Yone Sejuani, classic combo for Dig.
And that means Srtty is going to be looking very likely for a melee top laner on the top side to try to have that double melee pairing with the Sejuani. We've seen that a million times before. Wouldn't be surprised if it's just Ahri or something like the Aurora are both really strong pairings with the Vi. To kind of have that setup, have that follow-up. And it's going to be the Aurora getting locked in. So we'll see where they want to go with their pick on 3. And then if it's going to be matched here by Dig, or if it is going to be some differentiation, because I do think you are kind of expecting the double melee solo lanes. So will be the Gnar coming through, and then we'll have to see where Srtty wants to go. There are a lot of spicy solo, like a solo queue type of counter picks, things like Aurelia and whatnot that are considered really, really good. But I don't know if he would actually go that. If you are looking more from the competitive route, generally people don't want to play those more risky picks. Yeah,
when you think of Srtty's champ pool and the carries he likes to pull out, I usually think Camille first and foremost, Gwen, Jax, those types of picks. Gwen's already banned, and they don't even go for a top laner right now. They're going to give C9 the option to ban a couple away because they want to take that priority Ezreal, instead opting for a big pick for Tomo, who, you know, this is a champion he's very comfortable on and has had some great performances on as well.
And when you already know that you're playing against Vi plus Aurora, you want an AD carry that's going to be quite safe. Generally, the two that I think of immediately are either Zyra or Ezreal. So Ezreal, you know, is going to be the pick here for Tomo. If Vi goes in with the ulti, sometimes you can just arcane shift and pull them too far away from the rest of their team, kind of put them in that awkward spot. So something that Blaber is going to have to be aware of. We saw Blaber and Loki absolutely tear people up yesterday. They played really, really well. After Loki, I don't think had a great week one. It was nice to see him pairing up really well with the Poppy. He played a great Silas game yesterday, had some really nice stolen ults, was playing against both an Azir and a Gnar, and was able to kind of like combo people into a position where Blaber could then flash stun them against the wall, and they had these great CC chains. They were kind of all the action on the map, and individually they both had over a 3,000 gold lead over their lane opponents. So Blaber and Loki were going crazy yesterday.
Let me tell you, it was great to draft both of them for fantasy. And I will say thank you, Blaber, for locking in Vi, because that's what I've
inspired in fantasy, and he's been doing well too.
Okay, he also had a great week. Maybe even better than Blaber. We'll see. But catching up, it actually is not top lane bans on the side of C9. They're happy with the Gnar into whatever Srtty wants to play instead. It's Karma and Bard. They want to take away those other ranged supports to pair with the Ezreal.
Exactly, and since they already banned out Nico, that's kind of the big three that people do look towards with the Ezreal as far as pro play right now. There are, of course, other options, but they're more that solo queue style, so it might just be some sort of melee to go for it. This could actually be Yone top. It is also possible that it is Ryze top. Either one could go up towards top lane. We used to see, you know, back NRG a while ago when they used to do kind of the flex of the Yone top quite a bit. And it can be pretty good into Gnar. You have that potential, kind of similar to like Aurelia and a lot of these champs. When Gnar goes mini, if you can actually hit your full combo, you do have that potential to get that 100-0 play. You scale really, really well. Both these, I think, can be absolutely fine into the Gnar, whether it is the Ryze or the Yone, but I'm kind of like feeling more that it could actually just be the Yone into the Gnar, and then you bring the Ryze mid lane against the Aurora, where you can kind of just wave clear and mitigate the advantage from that matchup as well. So if that's going to be what it is, I think it's actually quite a clever flex, because I think you end up with two matchups that are kind of both improving based on the flex.
It isn't double melees for the Sejuani, but it's still fine.
But it's Rune Prison.
It's Rune Prison. Basically same thing. Kaisa Rakan locked in for the side of C9, so a little dive and all-in potential, and that means Alistar is the final pick locked in for Isles.
Yeah, I mean, C9 is playing something that's relatively similar to kind of what we saw out of TL earlier, where it is just kind of like full dive. Generally, when you do play Kaisa with hard engage, that is what you are looking to do. Of course, they have a little bit of an ability to side lane there potentially with the Gnar, but generally speaking, you're looking for hard engage from Vulcan. Everyone flies in, Vi ult. You have Loki throwing down the ult. In comes Zven as well. So they're looking to kind of dive in on the backline. But that being said, there are some champions that are pretty good at disengaging things here, like the Alistar, and it is looking like it's going to be Ryze top. So not the flex I was thinking might be better. I'm not surprised because these are both, could have gone either way.
Could have.
But I do think that potentially it'd be an easier matchup for Keine mid with the Ryze, and I do think Yone can be absolutely solid into the Gnar top.
And I just don't think of Ryze when I think of Srtty, so this is a bit of a shock.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
What if you lose eyebrows or something? That'd be weird.
That would be arguably worse than the beard. Much worse. But it looks like
we are pretty important.
Are hopping back into the game. True, you can paint on eyebrows. You look silly if you paint on a beard, don't you?
I think you're going to look stupid either way, so.
All right, well, I guess we'll just be honest from this point on.
Sunglasses, hide the eyebrows.
Oh, yeah, the big, thick ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Like maybe butterfly shaped or something,
Well, I was talking about it before, but we want to highlight again just how long these orgs have been around in the scene. All the way back 2015.
Frog in there.
And look at this matchup between the two. When you have two orgs that have been playing against each other for this long, there's a lot of tape to cover, Azael.
It's a lot of tape, and not a lot of it is good for Dignitas. So
hey, they got double-digit wins, though. They got to 10.
They do have 10 wins. If you're like, we have 10 wins against Cloud9, you're like, that's pretty good. Over how long? We have 10 wins against Cloud9.
Hey, that's 1 win a year on average right there. Look at that.
They got their one. Exactly. They got their one, and then they're done for the year. That's all you need.
Hey, you know what? Maybe if they get their one now, then, they're good until 2026.
Yeah. So you guys skip the rest of Split 2, Split 3, who cares?
You don't even need to play it at that point.
Come back for next year.
This is why we do
Start prepping the draft to get your one yearly win.
All right, well, I want to set some early game expectations here, or at least try and guess where we think they're going to go. Oh, so early game expectations for that is just Dignitas are going to win this, though.
Okay.
Clearly, yeah. But if we're talking about the pathing of the junglers, do we think that there's any chance of going for a play topside? Because I'm seeing both junglers starting on the bot half of the map.
I'm going to be honest, these two champions and these lanes, I think we're just doing 6-camp clear.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to expect too much. I think there always are those potentials for, ganks of opportunity. If someone's going really crazy, if a lane gets super volatile, if someone really over pushes, I think you can look for those moves. But generally speaking, these days, you are just kind of 6-camp clearing. You're really prioritizing getting towards level 6 for both Vi and Sejuani. It's super important. And what is happening to Keine right now is why I thought it might have been Ryze mid, because these early matchups, especially against Aurora, can be pretty brutal. That being said, you kind of just have to withstand, get your CS, and then we'll get to a certain point where all of a sudden, you're the one that's getting on the aggressive. But, oh my God,
that electrocute almost just took the kill.
Yeah, and so it is definitely a punishing matchup early on. That being said, he's doing okay as far as farm is concerned, but he has no more potions, so one more spell hits from Loki, and when electrocutes back up, he could actually potentially kill him. So Keine is now just playing for XP. The wave is still pushing towards him, but it's going to be hard to even farm under your tower.
Now Glacial Augment into the bot side. We have an Ignite onto Zven as he gets the shield from the Rakan to absorb most of that damage, so he's fine.
Oh, that was really close. He didn't quite hit him with the 2-fold hex there. Yeah. Or no, he did. He did. Just didn't get the electrocute, so the electrocute must have still been on cooldown. So he did hit both sides of it. But Keeney's going to have to go back to base on only 9 CS. So he's still staying around. So he's trying to get a reasonable buy. He doesn't want to lose the cannon. It's so much gold here when you are this broke. So he's just struggling to try to get whatever farm he can. If he picks up most of this wave, and it's clear that Loki's a little bit nervous that, okay, he's staying this low. Maybe Sejuani's here. They haven't seen Sejuani for a while. So I do think he's kind of being pretty respectful to where the jungler is. And Keine, as a result, gets to be rewarded for that.
Now,
Sheiden,
speaking of,
steals it.
Yeah, we did see Sheiden spot out Blaber. That's Blaber's crab right there, Sheiden. That's a bold move to take that away from him, but he does get it. There was a presentation earlier where somebody claimed that Blaber had a 100% success rate on Scuttle, so we're going to have to update that now.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful about fake news these days.
True. I have fallen for it. Do you know what getting sent-held is? Have you heard about what that means? Yeah. So it's where you believe a tweet.
A legendary account.
Legendary account. I learned about it recently. It happens to me with a League of Legends thing last week. Those that know, they know. So yeah, you gotta watch what you believe, everybody.
Because that is actually one of my favorite Twitter accounts.
It is a great Twitter account. Fun when you get sent-held yourself. Whereas bot side, actually, Tomo Isles scrapping.
I can read, so it hasn't happened to me yet.
Well, see, I just learned how to recently, so that's why
we established in Split 1 the counting is tough for you.
You know, so we missed a lot of
counting,
things.
Reading.
Yeah, not everyone knows this, but you know, homeschooling didn't work out great for me in the first couple of years. So.
Actually, everyone knows that.
Oh, okay. Is it that obvious?
I wasn't going to say, but they do say honesty is the best policy. So.
And I can't lie anymore, because I'm going to lose my beard at this point. We have an update here. Thanatos' record on Gnar.
Stop flaming Kangas. Talk about the game.
That's pretty. Yeah, you know. Thank you,
here.
producers, for giving us something else to talk about here. 34-16 all-time record. Very impressive right there. I don't know what the math is or for a percentage, but it's
more fingers
above
than you
50.
have, so.
It's above 50% for sure.
Significantly above 50. It was 34-16, so I don't know. It'd be close to 70, a little bit under. You know, so 32 and 16 would be 66. So yeah, it's like 68 or 69 or something like that.
There we go.
Pretty damn good.
Quick. Look at that.
There you go.
The speed is still there. I was getting worried for you.
Oh, me too.
It's just turning into a roast at this point.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Every year past 25 in esports. You know, it's one foot deeper into the grave,
slower.
you know?
Yeah, a little bit. And you've been past that point for like 2 decades now. So
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Isles is on the map
from the grave
with Vulcan. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 6 feet long microphone pole.
They like exhume my corpse every weekend for the LTA cast.
Time for C9 versus Dignitas. Let's get Azael out of the old coffin.
All right, get him up there.
Yeah.
Who's going to dig it up this week? Oh, God, is it my turn?
Yeah, usually it's Flowers, I hear, that has
Flowers
to pick you
is
up.
good at shoveling dirt all the time in Ohio.
Shows up in a trucker hat and a monster truck.
It's a
says, get in,
for
partner.
him, you know? It's less of a job, more of a passion.
We see it. I'm really trying to bring us back into the game here every now and then.
I'm not being very helpful.
We can check in occasionally. No, you're doing great. You're doing great, Azael, especially for Corpse. But Dignitas currently are getting the grubs, and actually looks like no answer immediately for the Dragon right now. Flash from Srtty away from the Gnar ultimate. Thanatos still going to try and chase him down. Blaber's nearby, but Isles is here to back up Srtty. We could have an actual scrap for an actual objective, but for now, looks like Thanatos is backing off.
There's a lot of minions pushing towards Thanatos there, so he definitely doesn't want to get too crazy. He wants to be able to pick up that wave. And he's chilling so far in this matchup. You know, he's going to be up CS, assuming he gets at least just a couple of these, but it is very even. And really, Ryze, when you're picking Ryze, you're not really picking to dominate. You're picking just kind of farm and scale. Yep. And he likely gets to get the plate on that last auto. Sure. Isles would have been spotted by that deep ward in that back brush, so Thanatos should know it. And if Thanatos wants to play around with this, he could kind of play a little bit dumb and try to potentially bait him because Blaber's down here on this side of the map. So Blaber could move over here and they could try to see if they could find a counter gank, especially now that Blaber is 6. It would be a pretty good angle, but we'll see if Blaber's going to go for it. It looks like he's pathing more up.
And Isles started the sweeper when he already started walking. If he had done it while stationary in the mid-brush, he would have actually spotted that. So now Thanatos is basically saying, is he still there? Is it still happening? And I don't think Thanatos realized that Isles committed for the long con. Thanatos trying to get that Mega Bar all the way up. He's actually close, about to hit Mega, does get a big amount of health right there, but has no backup. Jumps away, has Flash. I think Thanatos might get out of there. Rooted up, now Sheiden's in the neighborhood. Flash 4 for Miles, Flash with Thanatos. He's out of there.
Nicely played, honestly, from Thanatos. Just kind of goes ring around the rosy
what was
down
that?
The bot lane. Is able to just kind of walk it out. And I thought he was honestly going to die before he megged out because he wasn't going for any autos, but he just kind of kept out of range of them. And once you get to that certain point in the Mega Gnar bar, it's just going to transform automatically. So he just waited. He gets the wall up there to be able to actually get that transform. As I called out, he was spotted on that ward. But even though he knew he was
so
there,
long.
it was so long.
Yeah.
I've been in situations like this so often as a top laner where you see someone go into the brush and it's 40 seconds later, you're like, there's no way he's still here, right? And then he's still there, but he's able to actually outplay it. Very well done. You know, he waited on the far side of that brush and
back to live. Zven has to ult to get to safety. Saves the summoner spells. He's fine. But yeah, it's just catching a top laner unawares, but still great for Thanatos to survive. He uses the flash. And actually, Isles, it looks like, did not flash there. So it's just a head pulverized combo. But either way, C9, I think, in an all right spot.
Yep, definitely not bad whatsoever. Do have that slight gold advantage. You know, nothing too important, honestly, on either side. Blaber has just been power farming farming, so has Sheiden. They haven't really been involved in much of anything. You can see that Loki is the main advantage really for Cloud9 right now. Top lane is pretty much dead even, and Loki has opened up a nearly 20 CS advantage. Some of that will be gained back by Keine as he farms this wave at his tower, but has been constantly getting pushed in. But generally speaking, once you get to this point where you have Vamp Scepter, you have tier 2 boots, you can really start to kind of just shrug off a lot of that harass. So the fact that he didn't die early was very important. He was also able to be honestly really greedy, and because Loki was playing pretty respectfully, right? Like if that's solo queue, I feel like the Aurora might have just like flashed in on you and killed you. But he was able to stay around very low, get to level up timers, get some HP back from that, and be able to get enough XP and enough gold to have a decent first base.
But then that brings up the question, is C9 playing too respectfully? Because Dignitas get the grubs, and now the dragon was never taken by C9 earlier. Maybe Blaber can smite, steal it. No, it's secured. As Sheiden now jumps back in onto Blaber, locking him down. Chain CC, but over the top goes Vulcan, trying to set for Zven over the wall to pump out damage. Tomo's doing the same. Loki trying to keep Dignitas stuck in the pit. And at the end of the day, Sheiden goes down, but he does secure the dragon.
Yeah, he's able to get that dragon. I mean, Loki had such a good angle there, got so much damage out, but because of how low damage they are this early on in the game, they just couldn't really finish a lot of kills off. We can watch this one more time. They try to get over here. Blaber tries to go in to actually steal this. He says, you know what, I can just Q out. But his Q gets interrupted there by Sheiden as he comes forward. Loki, though, invis walking forward, gets between the worlds. The ulti hits on 3 members there. Then the weirding across all 3 as well, but they just can't finish anyone off. Keine one auto away from Zven getting that passive proc on him. You're almost able to take him down, but can't get it, and we're just scrapping.
Yeah, back to live. We're still fighting.
No ult on Isles.
Isles has no ult, and Zven does! Killer Instinct in behind Tomo to take down the Alistar. Now Tomo could be in some trouble. Has the barrier, has the flash, and has Sheiden in his back pocket in the tri-brush. So C9 will back away, and they'll take another kill.
Yep, C9 going to be able to punish. So even though they didn't get that kill at the dragon, that fight means they can get the kill now, because if he has the Unbreakable Will, no shot you're actually taking down Isles in that position. So they get the Ignite, they get the barrier, they get the kill onto the Kaisa, and he is going more for that standard build. Kraken Slayer, not what we saw earlier. There's a lot of different builds that are kind of being cooked up lately for Kaisa. We got to see the Yuntal last game.
Best ultimate bravery champ.
Yeah, I've seen people doing like Essence Reaver Rush and all kinds of different stuff that is getting pretty popular. So people are always cooking on these different builds for the Kaisa.
All right, what's that math? Azael, real quick.
I mean, it's slightly under 66%, so it's like 65, 64%, something like that.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
You know how I do it?
How?
17 times 2 is 34, and 33 is below 34. So I know it's below 1/3, but it's close.
It is close. There you go. That's good. Well done.
All right.
You get a gold star on that homework.
You're giving me good feedback here. All right. I was panicking. I maybe messed that one up already. But I did not say that with a lot of confidence.
Really
if anybody saw my face.
And they're saying, like, if I was like, that's not what it is.
No, not even close.
Believe me?
Yeah, I mean, again,
Usually the panic sets in. You're like, oh, God.
See, it's tough when you just kind of assume that you're wrong going into a statement.
Yeah.
It's really hard to end with that confidence, all right. That's a me problem, though. I'm not going to put that on you. Tomo in the mid lane right now with Zven matching. So new lane assignments for the new stage in the game. There's not much to fight over. 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the Dragon, 3:20 on the Herald. But we see Isles yet again hovering this bot side. This guy just really wants to catch these side laners by surprise.
And I think it's smart to be looking for these sorts of plays. When you're playing with an Ezreal, he's generally pretty safe, especially Ezreal with Flash is very difficult to take down unless there's an overwhelming amount of people over there. As Thanatos, again, just looking for a trade. We'll see if he can hit the wall.
Finding a window to actually get some big damage here onto Srtty. Wallop does land, and Srtty's in a lot of trouble. Has the flash available, but Thanatos, boulder toss, not able to get through the minions. So Srtty is fine.
Yeah, that was well played there by Thanatos, because really how well that trade is going to go is just dependent upon the wall up. So he holds the cooldown for quite a long time until Srtty is against that wall where there's no way he can actually sidestep it. So well played there by Thanatos. Gets a nice chunk, and he's going to do the boomerang trick where you throw it one way and then let it go back.
Oh, that looked like it made contact.
I don't know if that's like a high ground, low ground thing, or if it literally expired right before it touched him, but that was pretty well played. I thought he was going to be able to actually cancel the base, which would have been very annoying for Srtty, but instead, Srtty is able to just TP back, and of course, already had his Roa completed, now working towards that Archangel's. Tier has been stacking up for quite some time.
Over the wall. Nice knock up on Isles right there. But yeah, that was a window. I mean, there are still more windows to try and find these plays onto the Ryze. It's so much harder once you get that Seraph's fully stacked because you just get this huge shield. You have all this HP from the Rod of Ages stacked up too. So I like that Thanatos is looking for moments like that at this point in the game because this is where the Gnar can potentially find that all-in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you always want to be looking for those opportunities. I still think Gnar can compete pretty well in the side lane if you're going to be building for it. You know, later on, at a certain point, Ryze is going to outscale you, absolutely. But you do always have to be worried about, Loki or Blaber, someone coming in. Dig going to send all these members down towards bot side. Should be able to grab the first tower. And that is going to be really nice for them as they are now one objective away from being able to grab feats.
Yeah, exactly. And it was after all of the... actually, we'll get back to that because we have an engage from Blaber deep into enemy territory onto Srtty, but he's got Zven with the killer instinct. That last auto, barely not enough as Srtty limps away with a sliver of a health bar.
He hit 1 HP, actual 1 HP.
1 HP.
That is very frustrating there for Cloud9 as he's able to just barely slink out.
Wow.
But is able to survive and does cost him his flash, but still good attempt there from Cloud9. You can't really blame them when it's literally 1 health.
Yeah, at that point, you can't even say like, oh, they didn't calculate it correctly. The numbers, what do they mean? It was close enough. Dignitas, though, because their top laner survived, Srtty is now actually going to reset towards the bottom side. Keine is now top with TP. This gives them a really good setup for the Dragon because they can teleport their now mid laner down if C9 try and contest.
Yeah, and it looks like they're just going to give this over, so it is going to be feats grab for Dig as they already have first tower. That is their third objective. So we're going to be able to get those upgraded boots. And here is Zven and his history against Dignitas. While he was on Dig, 13 and 17, has never lost a game against Dig while, all on Cloud9. And then also he was on TSM for a while, so would have been including that too. I'm assuming. Maybe... Yeah, it does include that. I just got that confirmed.
That's incredible. 15
so has never lost a game
Dig
against Dignitas, and we'll see if he can actually keep that streak running. He's obviously in a great spot individually right now as he's up 750 gold, and the whole team is opening up those leads.
So what's stronger, Zven's undefeated record against Dig or Dig's consistent 1 win a year average versus C9?
Well, we don't know where those wins came from, so I'm going to say Zven.
Okay.
Because those wins could have been like, maybe they got 4 in 1 year.
Ooh, Vulcan actually going for an engage, and the engage from Sheiden goes wide. Glacier is not going to land teleport from Thanatos and from Loki. Wallop onto all members of Dig as Loki now repositioning front to back. Dignitas trying to hold the line. They already lost their tank, but they lost Thanatos. Dignitas answer back in kind. A 1 for 2 in favor of the team getting engaged on.
I mean, Cloud9's consistent damage is just horrible, it seems like. They get these initial engages that look like they're going to be so good, but as Zven's not hitting, they seem to have no damage.
Yeah.
And there's so many different threats over on the Dignitas side. Ryze, as well as the Yone, as well as the Ezreal are all really pumping out the damage. I want to see that one more time.
Yeah.
But, when you see that initial Mega Gnar come through, Loki arrives, throws down his ult on a bunch of people, you're thinking, wow, this is going to be a really good Cloud9 fight. But Blaber dies pretty early. It felt like Zven got pushed out of the fight pretty early. And then your first round of spells, if they don't kill someone on Aurora, you don't really have anything else.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it was what happened with Tomo, because if Tomo was not locked down and was able to get away, you're only hitting an Alistar, a Sejuani, that's much tougher. But now we have the Herald play. C9 going for a very aggressive force right now. Dignitas can answer. They have Sheiden coming up from the top. Vulcan engages in onto Isles. That is Herald secured. Isles might just trade his life for Vulcan, but Vulcan gets out of there. Isles does not. Tomo has no flash available. Locked down by all C9 members as Keine tries to jump in and tries to snap back. Shut down to Zven. C9 Giga punish Dignitas for approaching that Herald play, and Zven wants even more. Srtty can't even get away. That's a triple to Zven.
That is terrible for Dignitas. They're actually in a pretty good spot after that, and they try to get to the Herald. The Herald's already taken, but then they kind of do this like bad Kung Fu movie where the villains walk in one at a time, and the hero just gets to beat them all up. And you're like, go at the same time, guys. Come on.
Come on, you have him circled. Just all pounce together.
And this was, this is the kill onto Isles. Then Tomo kind of wanders in. He dies. Then Sheiden's like, well, Sheiden's getting out of there. Kaine's like, what about my turn? Can I get something happen? This is going to get finished off very, very quickly here by Cloud9. They just focus it down. They're able to get the kill. And then over on the side, I think this is obviously reasonable. I guess they missed picking up the eye. But Vulcan gets out, and this is where it's kind of time to run. You know, Tomo goes down. There's no way you're going to be able to win this fight. We can see that Keine goes in, but he waits such a long time to snap back. Like, there was a gap between even the ulti and the Q, so he could have gone back at any time. Waits so long to do it, dies. Then Srtty is kind of staying around trying to kind of help him and maybe half committing to it himself. He dies too. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, they just know you probably just won the game.
Looks like we're trying to get a listen in right there. Thanatos trying to find a play again in the side lane versus Srtty. Just 100-0 burst. No chance to escape.
I mean, now Zven is just so fed. He got a triple kill in that. Blaber is way ahead again. 1.4K lead for him. Over 2,000 now for Zven individually. And you're looking at Mikhail's just getting completed. One of the only ways they can actually find these fights, is with this hard CC, finding a Sejuani ult or something and following up on that. Now that's not really an option, so bad going to worse. It's now all of a sudden nearly a 6,000 gold lead. They even get the crash in on the tier 2. Cloud9 completely running away with this after what was a very even early game off of just a straight up horrible fight from Dignitas where they kind of lost their minds a little bit and tried to, it's kind of that sunk cost fallacy where you're like, well, we already lost a bit. We got to try to get something out of this. You know what I mean? We already lost the objective. We already lost kill. We got to make something happen. And it just ends up costing them pretty much the entire game.
And Dignitas, because of the delayed first dragon, don't even have a soul point right now. This is their soul point spawning.
And how are you going to fight down 6K?
How are you supposed to get in here?
Like, just look at the completed items, right? It's very tough. Srtty is at a strong point in the game, but the Roa isn't fully stacked. I think their only real chance is kind of playing through sides, but showing up and fighting at these objectives will be very tough to do.
There's Loki, does not land the weirding right there. Keine able to get away. But it's Dignitas trying to control the vision, control the approaches. Srtty's in the mid lane catching that one as the Dragon's already started. So Dignitas are not ready to pounce right now, but they are getting in position. It could just be a Dragon secure, but Dignitas have a window where maybe they can find something, but it doesn't seem like they're going to go for the steal. Doesn't seem like they're going to go for the engage. They're not going for anything. C9 get the Dragon, and they get out.
Yeah, and then if that's the case, and I think that is the correct decision, don't fight. Why are you not just splitting, right? Like, Ryze should be top lane, catching those waves. Instead, you're going to lose like a full wave top. No one's catching, mid. No one's pushing out top. So now the wave is going to be slow stacking and pushing away from you top side. So it's like you're just losing gold on the map where if you can't fight, that's fine. But then get out on the map and try to get something else. Try to take away jungle camps. Try to make something happen. And that's where, I think you can really get pulled into these situations where you feel like, we have to make something happen. But if you can't do it, it's better to never even show up and try.
And Srtty gets 2 mid waves there, and now we'll go topside. Still lost a wave up there, but this is basically all resources going into Srtty from that play. C9 are in control of the game. I think Dignitas' only chance at this point is Srtty, and we highlighted it coming into this one. He's had a rough start to the split and to his debut in LTA. This is his rookie year. There's a lot of excitement around this guy, but so far, he hasn't really had that big step-up moment yet.
No, he absolutely hasn't. I mean, I think the laning phase was pretty even against Thanatos. Obviously, he got to play the Ryze into it. They farmed pretty even. But Thanatos has been the one kind of putting pressure on him as far as the kills are concerned, and Srtty hasn't been able to find any sort of good team fight, so has been a bit tough for him. And now that, he isn't really ahead of the curve whatsoever, and the enemy AD carry is so fed, the enemy Vi is so fed, it's hard to even play in side lanes because unlike last game where we were talking about Saint and them having no CC to actually lock him down and interrupt, there's so many ways for them to actually stop it, right? If Gnar and Vi are collapsing on you, they have a ton of ways to actually interrupt the Realm Warp. You're basically never going to be able to use it. And we know now, you can just see in Fog, Cloud9 is just doing the Autocon, and Dig is nowhere to be seen.
They're now approaching. Kaine's still in that top lane, could TP down. Realm Warp in.
This thing is going to get deleted, though.
Yeah, Srtty does not want to actually take that. I think it was just for the vision to see if anybody jumps away. Now they're teleporting Keine. True Shot Barrage, big engage from Vulcan, but it's only onto the front line. And again, Sheiden's Glacial Prison going wide. Blaber goes deep. Zven picks up the kill. Srtty as well. Double to Zven. C9 run another team fight, and they get the Autocon. Dignitas are fully corralled under their turret, trying to get back away. Thanatos ult into the wall, and a fantastic follow-up from Vulcan, but big re-engage. Keine goes in with Isles. They get one. Keine has to flash away. Thanatos still chasing. One more damage on to Isles. Another auto could have it. Tomo shuts him down. Can't shut down Loki too. One more Q will get it. He doesn't find it. Loki He survives.
That was a really close fight. Cloud9 hard forcing there, looking like they weren't going to end up getting a lot of kills, but at the end of the day, they do get some kills. They only have a couple of their members actually withdrawing. They grab the Otacon, they take the tier 1. Cloud9 now 8,000 gold ahead, completely running away with this one. And we can see it again, the Uber Eats delivery teleport. This one coming in, trying to make a play happen. Vulcan, really good turn here to deny any opportunity for them to look for the steal. It gets secured there by Blaber. And then as the teleport comes in, Thanatos is about to mega, so Dig knows we can't actually sit here and fight. We basically just have to run. So they're trying to retreat back towards the tower, but Cloud9 with the Otacon GAs are just going to hard force. Zven gets the early 2 kills, and then it was looking from this position like they were pretty split because Zven and Loki weren't with the top half, and you're thinking, well, maybe Dig can get some kills back, but we're back to live. They must be scrapping.
Yeah, it looks like we're setting up for a dive onto Srtty here. Multiple members of Cloud9 are in the area. They have the engage. Srtty has flash. Can he outplay? He's just trying to get some damage down, but Chain CC, no chance. As Zven goes godlike 7-0-3 against the org he played for last year. Dig's season is over, baby. Zven has arrived.
Yeah, Zven crushing him and looking like he's going to maintain that 100% win rate against Dignitas. Never dropped a game against him in all the time he has been here in NA. That is a long time.
It's a long time.
I want to say he came over probably, what, 2017, 2018?
I want to say 2017 TSM. I think that was the year.
I think it was around 2017, 2018. I'm not sure exactly which, but it's been a long time. And looking like he's not about to start losing now. They drop the True Shot Barrage to see, all right, are they on the Baron? And you can tell you are very nervous about your position in the game when you have to instantly ult on spawn to check the Baron to see if it's actually being taken, because that thing had spawned 8 seconds ago. Keine does have 2 items now, you know, so does Tomo. Those are some positive things, but then you look over at the other side and you see the itemization there. It's so tough. Zven is already on 3 and has the Seekers ready to go, so it's very difficult to actually take him out. He's got Cleanse, he's got Flash, he's got a Mikhail's on his support, so there's so many ways for him to stay safe. And if you can't take down Zven and Zven is hitting, he's just too far ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and this is exactly the type of game that you want to see from C9 at this point. This is the positioning phase, after all. This is going to seed into the group stage. So C9 are trying to stamp their name up there at the top with the likes of FlyQuest, with the likes of Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, their competition from last split. And so far, they are off to a great start right now, as they play around with an engage onto Sheiden and just don't even get punished. Vulcan took like no damage right there. But when you're against a team that was from that bottom 4, the expectation is for you to deliver. C9 are doing just that.
I mean, especially against, let's be honest, Dignitas and DSG do look a tier below Shopify and Lion, right? So I do think these are definitely expected wins, and these are games that you want to see them dominate if they're going to try to compete at the top of the table. You know, we had Inspired here earlier. You know, he was saying that he thought it was them and Fly at C9 and Fly as the kind of top 2 teams right now. And then he had Lion even in the conversation for top 4 above 100 Thieves. So it's always interesting hearing people's power rankings.
I love hearing the players' power rankings, especially.
Because it's really going to be based on scrims, right? For the pros.
They see way much more of their matchups than we get to see.
Exactly. And sometimes stage games can look wildly different, right? Sometimes teams can be getting really over or underrated by either broadcast or pros.
Vulcan. Oh, Vulcan just clearly outplaying Keine at every turn, trying to get away, has the team behind him, but Blaber goes very deep. Does he get punished? And the rest of C9 do not want to follow up. Zven not willing to take the Killer Instinct to the 4 members, so all right, small window for Dig right there. Blaber gave them a little option. Yeah,
Blaber gives them a bit of an option. I think he was just really trying to follow up on the play from Vulcan, and now they're going to try to force here, right? I think this is actually a good opportunity. Just flip it at Baron. I don't think you're going to get a better chance in this. You're so far behind. You kill the jungler. See if you can make it happen.
There's no flip. There's no smite contest. I don't think anybody from C9
can get in. You still have to be able to win the fight.
That's a good point.
That is the flip, is that Thanatos is coming, and they could maybe 4v5 you.
Loki's also looking for it. No Between Worlds available, though, so C9, without the proper ultimates, cannot stop the Baron from going down. Dignitas get it. Everyone knocked up. Now Thanatos with the flank. C9 might still think that they have an option. They have a wave pushing top.
That was massive. That canceled the Realm Warp, and now they're getting flanked.
And now Isles does not find the re-engage back in onto Thanatos. Flashes the wall. Zven goes very aggressive with a Killer Instinct. Flash out of Isles. Sheiden taking a lot of damage right here. Loki looking for the flank. Between Worlds is about to come back up. If C9 can get that ultimate available, that's huge. But Vulcan caught unawares. Trying to stop Dig's retreat, gets punished. Dignitas, they get the Baron and they get out with the kill.
Yeah, nicely done. As you called it out, you know, the Aurora ulti was just barely not off of cooldown here. And this is that earlier play. So again, they're going to try to just take the Baron and Realm Warp out, but the Baron knock-up not actually spotted. So he gets knocked up, it cancels the Realm Warp. So that's why I was kind of freaking out in that moment is, hey, maybe C9 can actually find an opportunity to get in here, but they didn't fully commit to the play. As a result, Dig, big comeback play. Unfortunately, still that big comeback play leaves you down 7,000 gold.
Yeah.
But it does close the gap quite a bit. You can see even the Red Bull Baron power play plus 2,500. They're about to take a tier 1, so that's going to get even better. Now it's plus 3K. It went from like absolutely Omega over to you have an outside chance. And that is definitely way better than they were doing. But Loki now threatening a flank, and Dig still could easily lose a fight.
Ooh, and Blaber's taking a big chunk right there. He was trying to position aggressively for Loki on the flank, who was just spotted by Isles. So Dignitas are aware. They're just trying to use this Baron as much as they can. They took that outer top turret. Now looking to get some damage onto this mid out turret. It's crazy that they hadn't even done damage to that thing. I'm pretty sure that this wave is what just did that chunk. So they have really been struggling this game. Only 2 turrets to their name. And yes, it's still an uphill battle, but signs of life for Dignitas. We've seen this happen before. This happened to even Shopify Rebellion earlier. Good game state versus Cloud9. Contracts gets picked off. Baron's taken. Game suddenly on its head. Now this is a very different situation because Dig's much further behind in gold, but I mean, you find those windows, you got to be willing to take them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was a really smart force. It was risky. You know, maybe C9 could have done something in a different situation to punish, but they knew that Vulcan had no ult because he spent that on top side. And it was really just C9 kind of heavily overcommitting to this kill onto Keine without a lot of their major damage dealers in position to actually follow up, right? Because Vulcan, he interrupted the ult from Keine and blocks it with his body and all this sort of stuff, but like Zven wasn't hitting. So you kind of force all of this, and then Blaber goes in with the ultimates trying to see if he can finish him off. But so much time had passed that Dignitas were able to come in, bail him out, get that kill, and then take the Baron. So big swing for them. Cloud9 still in control, though.
And Baron's going to time out pretty much on this wave. I don't think Dignitas will get this mid turret, and the Dragon is coming up. So C9 can go for their third. Actually, they're not going to contest, so mid turret will fall. Great use of Dignitas for the last couple seconds of that Baron buff. They're back to that 3,200 Red Bull Baron power play. But now they got to try and fight at the Dragon, potentially. C9 still have a gold lead. Hopefully they're not too shaken and realize that they still should be in control.
Yeah, I think they absolutely know that. You just look at the item completions and they can realize that they are stronger, but some big items are coming through on the other side. 3 items done for Tomo. The IE is done as well in the mid lane for Keine. So now if you find a good fight, you can actually win the fight, right? Like they're close enough that it's possible. Still going to be definitely heavily C9 favored, but we have seen that their comp, it's all this upfront damage, and then it's really just relying on Zven to be able to finish everyone off. So, you know, Zven were to get caught out and burst down, that definitely could be a Dignitas win.
Thanatos won't have Rage Bar, though. Ooh, big flank. Thank you, Observers, for highlighting. Dignitas do not realize that Loki is right there, ready to pounce. Tomo dodging away. Thanatos jumping in onto Tomo as Loki's locked down, shut down, taken out. Tomo will fall to Thanatos. That's big news for C9, and Isles will as well. Zven over the top goes legendary. And C9 don't need their mid laner. They will use their AD carry to great effect and will take down Dignitas at the Dragon fight. Keine will fall. Zven 10-0-3.
Yeah, Keine tries to ult away and then TP out, but gets interrupted. We can watch this one more time. Loki was on the flank here. Thanatos is expiring with his Mega Gnar, so you think, hey, maybe there's a chance. Good side steps from Tomo in the back line, but then Thanatos, even in mini, just goes straight in and is able to take down Tomo in the 1v1 through the barrier. The Locket is there to save him, and it just gets a really chaotic fight where Kaine's not involved. He's not actually there fighting with Tomo, and Srtty gets taken out before he's really involved. So their carries were all kind of split. A terrible fight for Dig, and the C9 carries just realizing their strength, able to force it and make it happen.
Sometimes in the most chaotic moments, the veteran players are the ones that see the line. I think sometimes when you look at players like Dignitas have on their roster, they don't have this much experience, this much play time as we were just talking about Zven. You know, how many times has he beaten Dignitas throughout his almost 10 years playing here? Now. Yeah, death cap completed on the Kaisa. Zven kept it cool and collected. Target selection impeccable, and that might just be the nail in the coffin for Dignitas. As Sheiden getting picked off is definitely not going to help their chances. Nice follow-up from Blaber, and Sheiden is out of there.
Yep, Sheiden's going to get taken down as well. The gold leads are massive. It's really just Keine with any sort of advantage himself. And like I said, he didn't even use the ult in the fight. He tried to use the ult to get away to teleport out. You know, if they had been a bit more organized, I think without, you know, Gnar and stuff, that would have been a potential one fight. You know, if he was back there with Tomo.
Ooh, but Srtty now just in the brush. That was a blind vault breaker from Blaber. Control ward placed, and Srtty punished. Dignitas are going to try and limp back away. Isles has a flash out of the Between Worlds. And Dignitas will try and make their last stand at their base. 15 seconds on Sheiden, now 40 seconds on Srtty. You have to imagine C9 can start cracking these structures. Flash and Thanatos to get away, but C9 still in a commanding position as they look at the Baron.
Yeah, and the Baron is pretty uncontestable. Srtty's dead for a long time. Sheiden hasn't even respawned. And Zven on the Kaisa is just going to delete this thing once he arrives. It is going down incredibly fast. So it will be an uncontestable Baron. There's not even an Ezreal ult up to try to look for some sort of a random Hail Mary steal.
Yeah.
Back to 11,000 in the gold lead now. So Cloud9 looking really strong after that bot lane fight where they just kind of ran away with it.
It's going to be a fun looking gold graph. You know, it'll be a little up and a little down,
yeah.
mostly blue still.
There
but
you go.
End of the day, C9 were able to bring it back. Again, offer that fantastic fight around the Dragon. It wasn't their soul. They probably won't need the soul to close out this game. They shouldn't. You know, one Red Bull Baron power play with that 11,000 gold lead should be enough.
With the 4 Cloud Dragon Cloud Soul.
Is that enough dopamine to warrant it? I feel like
it is if it's solo
the enemy.
Probably not if it's LTA.
Also, that is maybe not as fun as a gold graph as I was expecting. That's still like
it's
almost
pretty
all
much
blue.
up and to the right, but definitely, I mean, it just shows how massively ahead they were early on. You know, they were 9,000 gold ahead at like 20-25 minutes. So this definitely has been a pretty one-sided game. Early on, it looked like Dignitas definitely had their options, but their team fights have been really disjointed. They haven't been able to get on the same page for them and really coordinated in that. And Zven has punished them to the maximum, getting further and further and further ahead.
11-0-3 looks to continue his 100% win rate against the Org as Thanatos with the Gnar ult will punish Keine, punish Isles, and put Dig 6 feet under. C9. What a start to their week, or their split. Their week 2 looking fantastic in the positioning phase, and they will dive in onto Dignitas, taking the win.
Yeah, gonna be able to take them all.
The team embraces as they feel good about that one. An expected win, if we're being honest, Azael. Power rankings have C9 well above Dignitas. The tape from the first 3 games have them well above Dignitas right now. But still, it's nice to see them get that win regardless.
Yep, going to be able to grab that win, and a pretty dominant one overall. You know, there were a couple oopsies. Largely that in that top lane play where they were able to get the kill onto Blaber and then take the Baron back. But C9 going to be happy about how they performed here overall. 13-0-5 from Zven. Monster game. Stays undefeated all time against Dignitas. And Dignitas and DSG definitely looking like they have a lot of work to do after these first 2 weeks. We've gotten to see some more games. They got to figure it out.
All right, signs of life maybe for Dignitas, but still a loss. But now we're joining Raz.